Hello viewers, welcome to our channel Career Prep. In this video, we'll learn a few basic concepts regarding directions. Questions based on directions are one of the most frequently asked questions in the reasoning ability section of almost all government exams. These questions test your analytical skills and how you try to find the solution to logical problems with the help of diagrams. It's important that you get an understanding of how to solve these questions without getting confused. This is one of the topics where marks can be scored easily if practiced well. In this series of videos, you will learn how to solve directions questions. These questions are based on the direction and the distance between them. Each question is solved with a clear and easy explanation to help you in understanding the concept. So please do watch all these videos. Before we start, please subscribe to our channel. Also press the bell icon to get notification as soon as we post a new video. So let's start. So what is direction? Direction is the information contained in the relative position of one point with respect to another point without the distance information. So simply put, you can say that direction is the position of one point with respect to another point. Now the direction and distance reasoning questions includes two types of questions: direction sense test and distance related questions. Direction sense test. The questions based on direction sense require you to identify the direction of an individual or shadow from a set of statements. Distance related questions. Most of the direction and distance relations questions require you to find the total distance walked or the shortest path or the distance between two entities, etc. Let's learn about direction sense test. To solve questions on direction sense with ease, you should know some important concepts. One of the important concepts is the concept of directions. There are four main directions, namely north, south, east, and west. Also, there are four cardinal directions which are in between the main directions, like northeast between north and east directions, northwest between north and west directions, southeast between south and east directions, and southwest between south and west directions. A quick way to remember the position of west and east is to remember the word V. W on the left side stands for west and E on the right side stands for east. So W on the left side stands for west and E on the right side stands for east. You have to remember these main directions to solve any problem on directions. The cardinal directions are further classified as north, northwest, north, northeast, south, southwest, south, southeast, west, northwest, west, southwest, east, northeast, and east, southeast. These directions are represented in the diagram here. The next important concept is the concept of degrees. The main direction change undergoes a 90-degree change in direction. For instance, there is a 90-degree change from north to east or south to east. So you know that the main directions are north, south, west and east. So these main directions undergo a 90-degree change in direction. That is, if you move from north to east, then there will be a 90-degree change. Similarly, from east to south, there will be a 90-degree change. Similarly, from south to west, there will be a 90-degree change. Also, from west to north, there will be a 90-degree change. So, the main direction change undergoes a 90-degree change in direction. The change is only 45 degrees in cardinal direction. For example, there's a 45-degree change in north to northeast, or from northeast to east, or from east to southeast. So from southeast to south also there is only 45-degree change. So the change is only 45 degrees in case of cardinal direction. So remember that the main direction change undergoes 90 degrees change in direction, whereas the change is only 45 degrees in cardinal directions. Now look at these two diagrams. These two diagrams give you the degree change from the north direction when you're moving in clockwise direction or when you're moving in the anti-clockwise direction. This means from the north direction, if you move 45 degrees in the clockwise direction, then you will be in northeast. But if you move 45 degrees from north in anti-clockwise direction, you will be in northwest. Similarly, if you move from north in the anti-clockwise direction at an angle of 90 degrees, you will be in the east. Whereas if you move from the north 90 degrees in anti-clockwise direction, you will be in the west. This is the case with all the other different degrees. So this you can observe in these two diagrams. Another very important concept you have to know to solve problems on directions is the concept of left-right movement. The right and left movement of a person is always with reference to the body moving in the scenario. It's not with respect to the person who is solving the questions. Now, a person facing north on taking a left turn will face towards the west, but on taking the right turn faces towards the east. Similarly, a person facing west on taking the left turn will face towards the south, but if he takes a right turn, he faces towards the north. A person facing east on taking a left turn will face towards the north, but if he takes a right turn, he'll face towards the south. A person facing south on taking the left turn will face towards the east, but on taking the right turn, he faces towards the west. Now, the direction of the right turn is always clockwise. So, if you take a right turn, it will be in the clockwise direction. Here again in the clockwise direction, again right turn in the clockwise direction. Again when you take a right turn, it will be in the clockwise direction. So the direction of the right turn is always clockwise. The direction of the left turn is always anti-clockwise. So if you take a left turn, it will be in the anti-clockwise direction. Similarly, another left turn will be in the anti-clockwise direction. Again, when you take a left turn, it will be in the anti-clockwise direction. So the direction of the left turn is always anti-clockwise. Now, an easy way to get the left-right movements in questions correctly without any confusion is to imagine yourself to be the person moving in place of the person given in the question. Another important concept in direction sense test is the concept of shadows. The sun rises from the east in the morning and sets in the west in the afternoon. An important point that you should know is that the shadow of a person or any object always appears in the opposite direction from the light source. So, let's see what happens during the time of sunrise. In the morning, during the sunrise, the shadow of an object will always be towards the west. Now you know that the sun rises in the east in the morning. So the shadow of any object will be in the opposite direction from the light source, which is the sun. So since the sun rises in the east in the morning, the shadow of any object will be towards the west. Now let's see what happens during the time of sunset. In the evening, during the sunset, the shadow of an object will always be towards the east. Now, in the evening, you know that the sun sets in the west. So, the shadow of any object will fall in the opposite direction to the light source. So, if the sun sets in the west, the shadow of any object will be towards the east. Now, an easy way to remember the direction of shadow based on the time of the day is to remember that E is for evening and E is for east. That means in the evening, the shadow will fall towards the east. Now let's learn more about the direction of the shadows in the morning or sunrise time and the direction of the shadows in the evening or sunset time. In the morning, since the sun rises in the east, if a person faces east, the shadow will be towards his back or in the west. If a person faces west, the shadow will be towards his front. If a person faces south, the shadow will be towards his right. If a person faces north, the shadow will be towards his left. Now in the evening, since the sun sets in the west, if a person faces west, the shadow will be towards his back or in the east. If a person faces east, the shadow will be towards his front. If a person faces south, the shadow will be towards his left. If a person faces north, the shadow will be towards his right. During 12 p.m. at noon, there will be no shadow because at that time the rays of the sun are vertically downward. Let's learn more about distance related questions. In most of the direction and distance questions, it's required to calculate a certain parameter from the statements given in the questions. The questions can be related to the total distance walked or the shortest path or the distance between two entities, etc. While solving the distance related questions, you must be thorough with the Pythagoras theorem to be able to solve most of the questions. The Pythagoras theorem is used to calculate the shortest path traveled, the minimum distance between 2 points, etc. Let's learn more about the Pythagoras theorem. The concept of Pythagoras theorem is highly applicable in distance-related problems under the topic directions. Now, according to the Pythagoras theorem, in a right-angled triangle, the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. Let's understand this with the help of a diagram. Now supposing ACB is a right angled triangle with angle C as 90 degrees. Then AB is the hypotenuse. AC and CB are the other two sides. Now according to the Pythagoras theorem, in a right angle triangle, the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares of the other two sides. That is, C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. Remember this formula, which will help you to solve many distance related problems in the topic directions. Let's know more about the types of questions asked in competitive exams on the topic directions. The types of questions that are asked on the topic directions are as follows: basic direction based questions, rotation based questions, sun's rays and shadows based questions, distance related questions, clock based direction questions, coded direction based questions. Viewers, please go through this video till you have understood the concept. With a thorough knowledge of the concept, you can easily improve your performance by answering questions on this topic and obtain a good rank in the competitive exams. For solved problems, please do watch all the videos on the topic directions. Please do watch our video for solved problems on basic direction-based questions. If you have liked this video, please like, subscribe and share this video. Thank you.